Hello and good evening for all mankind. Season 1, episode 4. Prime Crew is over, and it has been since November of 2019. But we're just getting started here in this April of 2025 on a Canadian election night, no less, as we continue our mission to watch every episode of For All Mankind and talk all about it. I'm Dave Mader here on Live Long and Podcast, a live stream on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, or you might be listening to us in audio version. And we got the great panel here once again to talk all about it and break it down. Coming to us from Mission Control, Jody Simpson.
Howdy.
Hey there, Jody. We got the inimitable Kevin Millard.
I still have not looked up what that means, but
it means you can't be imitated.
I see.
You are so unique. Coming in next, it's the man who knows how to rock a fedora. It's Jeff Mader.
Top of the morning to you.
Top of the morning to you, indeed. And coming to us, of course, once again, it's the great Heather Narduzzi.
Hello. Let me just fluff up my hair a bit. I hear Nixon likes it long.
He does. He that's how presidents go. You gotta go with the times here, I guess. And happy election day to you, Sam.
Hi, Sam.
Yes, Newfoundland. They're already. I guess the polls are closed. Everybody, right? So it's. Gotta get this down. Come down, banner. And Adam is going to be joining us, but he is running late as his daughter has had some kind of car accident or trouble of some kind, and I'm sure he'll tell us all about it. But she's okay. It's just insurance and money and whatever else is. And where's that game? Is there a hockey game tonight too, Jeff? Are the Leafs tonight?
Leafs play tomorrow.
Oh, they're tomorrow. Okay, well, which is good because Jeff might not be the most focused on this podcast if game 5 was tonight. So
game 5 of what?
The Leafs and Ottawa Senators.
Who?
Hockey.
Hockey? Unless we're talking about curling, I don't know what's up, boys. So let's get into this podcast.
All right, let's get into it. Of course, as we mentioned, we are talking about episode 4 of season 1. This came from November 8th, of course, the 4th episode overall. And in this episode, a training accident spurs a national debate about women astronauts. Coming off of the finale of the previous episode, as we saw, Patty Doyle was the one who died in the limb simulator on the tarmac there at NASA. And there's kind of the fallout of that. And then it kind of leads up to eventually the launch of Apollo 15 and everything around that. So there's some stuff in between. Jody, how was this one for you?
I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. I like the meeting of the I like Deke going in and talking to what's his name and talking about how he basically is just dropped his partner that he's been training with the whole time, and he's like, now you have a woman with you.
Yeah,
Not really sure, if he took it as well as he could have, but we'll see.
Karen was more upset than Ed was about it, I think.
Karen was very angry. Very angry.
And Gordo,
seems like a running theme.
Yeah, Karen. It's Karen. She's such a Karen. And Gordo, well, he's gonna get dropped here from Apollo 15 and get kind of depressed. But
Gordo's an asshole anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Nobody's perfect.
Especially Gordo.
Especially Gordo. How about you, Kevin? How was this one for you?
Yeah, I hate this chauffeur making me feel bad for him. Like everything happened.
Where do you feel bad for? Gordo?
Yeah.
Why? He's a dick.
Supposed to go to the moon. Yeah. Okay.
Well, he's not pure evil or anything. He's he's not a perfect person, but he's
fucks around on his wife and he's an asshole.
But yeah, this is a good episode. It's I like the Ed and Molly stuff. Like I like he treats her like shit, but she also has some shit to learn, and she's been kind of I don't want to say skating by, but she's like had this confidence because she's had this ability all the way through, but then when it came down to it, she actually did have to work. I thought it's sort of what they were setting up, is that she's just this superstar.
She's just the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found it funny that it was like she was the one that was like the Ed with all the other women, but now that she's with like she's on a crew, she's now the one being talked down to. And it's like, yeah, it's not entirely because she's a woman, it's also because of abilities and
Well,
where
that first conversation at the table was
yes.
100% because she was a woman.
Yes.
Oh, that was painful. I guarantee you, every woman who watched that was like, "Yup, had this conversation before."
Yeah. This like that's the pretty much every time I'm talking to my wife about something, and then she, it kind of I'm like, "Oops, did I do bad?"
Did I do a bad?
And
I
she
do?
says, "Yes, Dave,
Yes,
you did
that's
that."
correct. And then I say, "Yes, dear." Heather, how was this one for you?
I really liked it. There's some cool things that we got to see. I did feel that because of the 3 previous episodes being so impactful, this one was a little more like setting up to the launch of Apollo 15. So it was a little slower than the previous episodes, but we do get to see some cool backstory stuff. And I won't get into that now because we're going to go ahead with
Yeah,
it.
we'll
But
run through all
liked
the
it, of
points.
course.
But some of the other characters in this episode, we learn more about their their characters or lifestyles, I guess, things like that. In particular, Ellen and that other guy who I've never learned, but he's like a main character in the show.
He's very nondescript and generic, so I don't remember his name either, and I've watched almost 4 seasons of this now. No idea what Buddy's name is.
Yeah, he's like Ellen's friend, and then I always know him as
Ellen's beard.
Ellen's beard. Yeah, I believe. I should be able to look up his name here. Where
while you're looking for that,
Larry Wilson is the character's name.
Okay,
I've never learned that all these time I've watched this show.
So you said at the top of the episode, you read the little description for this episode, and it was opens a national conversation about if women can be astronauts. And I'd like to point out that it's so infuriating that when a woman does something and fucks it up, it's like she's the representative for all of womankind. It's not like a man fucks something up and it's like, can men be astronauts? Let's think about that.
It's a completely valid point because it's there. Like I remember this episode did make me think of the movie G.I. Jane for some reason from the 90s, because in that movie it's all about Demi Moore's character becoming a member of the Navy SEALs. And the villain in that story was like, we don't want to see women going home in body bags. People aren't ready for it. They can't handle they're okay with their sons dying in a war or in a plane crash or whatever, but a daughter, no way, that can't be. And I'm like, well, if it's equality, everyone can die in a plane crash or in a war.
Can women die in plane crashes too?
I don't know. Of course, the answer is yes, but it's almost like the outrage.
No, they always land the plane.
They always land the plane.
I think that is the economy too, like of kind of what this episode is asking the viewer is that, like, are you looking at women as a group or are you looking at a woman as a person? You know, and to me, I think most people just look at the person. You know, but then once we start talking about representation and we start talking about the bigger picture of everything, then everything gets grouped into a group. And then, you know, so like it's both things. But it's like I liked Molly's like kind of like comeback to, I think it was Margot, where she just said like, I'm just me, like I'm just who, you know, and like that's right, that's who she is. Like she's not a representative for everybody, but then Margot says, but you are. But like you are, you know,
she is, and she is this representative, and she is sort of like this pioneer, and what she does matters, and a role model, whether she wants to be a role model or not, she is. So all of those things do matter, and failure can be just as, or even more detrimental or impactful than success, I think, as well, because it could be like, well, because a lot of people are closed-minded about it. They go, "Oh, no, women can never fly. Look that they crashed it, or whatever. Don't let Troy fly the ship. She crashed the Enterprise D. Women can't fly.
She landed it safely, but that's another podcast.
That's a whole other podcast.
I'm gonna get mad if we start talking about that.
Yes, of course.
To the point that you just said, Jeff, about whether you're looking at a woman doing something as the individual or as a representative for all of womankind, it made me think of a great Ani DeFranco lyric where she says, like, what I happen to be wearing the day that someone takes a picture is my new statement for all of womankind.
Right.
You know, when it comes down to it, just you're looked at as a representative because there are few women out there doing that. But when it comes down to it, you're just you, and that's all you want to be. It's a lot of pressure to be a representative for all of your group, you know?
I know it is hard.
It is hard. It's hard.
We're
for
always
you,
putting a lot of
Jody, but you're
pressure on
doing
Jody
really
to
well.
represent for
It's
us.
always
So we're like,
it's always me, and it's it's a lot of pressure.
A lot of challenges.
don't let us down, Jody. We're still counting on you. All right. Well, let's jump into the episode. Adam will not be making it. Apparently, I just got a message. He is. It's more involved than we thought. So
He's off busy dadding. Good job dadding, Adam.
dadding. You know, Jody, you know about that when you got to go save a kid from a car accident or some kind of thing.
Don't
Right?
even get me started.
So without the specifics, we'll jump into this episode. There's no cold open in this episode at all. It just goes right into the credits. No teaser or anything like that.
It's a skip for me either way. I mean,
Now that's a name I recognized from
Naren Shankar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's one of the co-executive producers of the show / co-creators. And he wrote this particular episode. I don't know what else he's written, but we can look that up. And this one's directed by Alan Coulter, who also, I believe, directed the previous episode, if I'm not mistaken, or will direct the next one. They're always in pairs, as we've mentioned previously. No, Alan Coulter directed the previous episode and this one. Okay, and then the next episode, we're going to get a new director for the next two episodes. So we come off of the credits and everything else right into the aftermath of Patty's crash here, and them putting out the fire. We see a press conference on the TV of the Outpost 4 days later, as Deke and Elvis Costello and the rest of them are talking about those events. I start calling him Elvis.
It's Thomas Paine. I finally remembered his name.
Yes, they're remembering old Patricia Patty Doyle, who was killed in 1970 here. And Molly Cobb is drinking her sorrows away as the bartender's name.
Didn't go to the funeral.
Didn't go to the funeral for her best friend, or one of her good friends, at least, Patty.
Went to the bar and got drunk. I thought that was a bit low.
Yeah, as the other,
I have a friend that does that. That cannot. If someone cannot go to a funeral, I don't know why, but he just can't. So,
yeah,
I think she just didn't want to be bested by the person that was besting her. That's all. She's
She
like,
didn't want Patty to win.
she died first.
Patty wrote something in her will, said "I won" or something to Molly.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Still first.
Still first. Yeah.
So as
Dark humor, but kind of funny.
Molly is here, drowning her sorrows away. We have Danielle and Ellen and the Tracy. I'm sorry. They all show up from the funeral, all dressed in black. And Maggie's dressed in black too, but or Molly. I'm sorry, Molly. Molly's dressed in black too, but she didn't go. And so they're kind of talking about what could have happened. She was such a good pilot and everything else. And Molly's like, no, she screwed up. She didn't eject when she should have, and that's it. That's all that went happened. And the other, I guess, they kind of pour a shot here to toast her memory. But the other thing Molly says is that, hey, they're probably going to shut down all the women in the program now. This is the end, just like it was before. Isn't always my friend dead, but my dream of going to space is also dead, probably. And that's kind of the feeling that they're all left here. These younger astronauts like Tracy and the rest don't really know what to make of that, if that's going to be true, but they fear it could be. based on the looks on their face throughout this. So then we come back to the Stevens home where Tracy finds Gordo, who Jody hates, but
he's an asshole.
He's a good dad. Look, he was reading.
He's a good dad.
He read the Apollo 15, like, what is it? The play
technical manual.
Technical manual.
Yeah,
he's good for the early 70s. Like, come on.
He's good. He's pretty good for the early 70s.
He knows both of the children's names.
He knows both the names. Do you think Papa would have
What
done
more
this?
can you want? They're unwashed, unfed, still clothed, asleep on the couch. He didn't do any homework with them or anything.
Yeah, and she comes home and she's like, "Aw,
my cheating husband and our spawn. How lovely."
Yes. He wakes up.
This is a cute scene, though. It is a nice scene between them.
Well, I think it's important to remember that Gordo and Tracy do legitimately love each other, even though they have their problems in their marriage, and that they have these kids together too. So I don't know. They obviously have this conflict in their marriage, but they also still have some of that affection that they've always had from the beginning. And talking about the results, and I think it's mostly here. Gordo kind of trying to cheer Tracy up about, hey, it's gonna be okay. You're an astronaut. You're these kids look up to you so much. Whose mom is in the space program like you? He's encouraging, and he's trying to be supportive. If it's in his imperfect Gordo way. Any points, Jody, for Gordo?
What?
Any points for Gordo?
No, he's an asshole.
Okay, just making sure. Then
Speaking of assholes, here comes a great scene.
Let's catch up with Ed, who's trying to talk to the father of Patty Doyle after the results. He's trying to say he was her instructor, and we can't hear what Patty's father's saying, but it doesn't sound good. Like he's too happy to be hearing from Ed here. And Ed's trying to explain things to him, but eventually Ed loses his temper and smashes the phone to pieces. It's hard to get this in screenshots because of the fast
seems
movements.
to have trouble with his emotions.
He seems to, for the guy who's supposed to be like the calm, cool, collected commander of the Apollo mission. He's, he can have a little bit of a temper. Karen shows up and says, "Don't worry about it, Ed. It's only a phone. We could get a new one." And that's
but that was like $800 back then. Like,
in today's dollars, could be.
They ain't cheap.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what she says to him here that's specifically comforting. She eventually sends him to go mow the lawn.
Well, he picks up the chair like he's going to chuck it, and she has to talk him out of it. And she just says, "Go mow the lawn," because it's very obvious to me from this interaction that she knows he's about to break more shit. It's not the first time. And she knows if she can get him to put down the chair and go do something else to blow off steam, it's going to diffuse the situation.
Well put. Exactly. That was the good read on it. Now it's worth mentioning that this scene takes place at night. So Ed goes to mow the lawn in the middle of the night.
And maybe go mow the lawn is code for like, go drink beer in the garage and stop breaking shit in our house, just to send him out.
Hear him get the lawnmower started up though in the audio, and
I didn't catch that.
I'm sure everybody in his neighborhood's like, that prick.
Here goes Ed Baldwin out mowing the lawn again at the night.
Yeah.
Well,
he must have been destroying the kitchen. He's out mowing the lawn.
Must have broke another phone.
That's really. I didn't even clock that it was nighttime. It didn't even occur to me that it was nighttime. But this scene right here is a great little piece of acting from the gal who plays Karen, because once she's got him out the door and she picks up the phone, you see her kind of like try to calm herself because she's so tense from trying to manage his emotions and diffuse that. And anybody who's had to manage somebody else's violent emotions knows what that feels like. So I thought this was a great little nonverbal thing from her. It was great.
Absolutely. Yeah. Chantel Van Santen plays Karen for the record.
Thank you.
So there's kind of like that moment there. And then we see John Glenn played by kind of this nondescript actor. I don't really know.
I couldn't figure out what I knew him from. So after struggling with it for a while, I looked it up, and his name is Matt. What is his last name? Do you have it there? It's like Matt Battaglia. Okay. And he played Phoebe's boyfriend, Vince, on Friends when she was dating two guys, the firefighter and the school teacher. And he was the firefighter. And he was very buff.
Okay.
I have a feeling you're talking
that's
to
a
the
deep
wrong
cut.
crowd.
Yeah. Do you remember this, Jeff? Are you a Friends fan?
No.
Okay.
Not really.
No, I don't know Friends. Okay.
He was also Andrew Carver's bodyguard in Showgirls.
Oh, that I know. That
So
movie is
here,
terrible. I
Although
love it.
the guy that's the other guy on Apollo 15, I forget I don't know his character's name. But he's from U571. He played Tank.
Oh, that was a good movie.
Yeah.
see that in a bit. But John Glenn, who's like the hero, he's a real person in real life. He, and a hero of the space program. Was he the first American in space? Is that what his claim to fame is, right? Specifically, or he's one of the earliest astronauts. And he says, "Come on, like these women need to be pulled out of the program now after this crash on the tarmac." John Glenn, not such an angel, not such a saint, it seems, as he's advocating for that Deke only had these women in the program because Nixon made them. And Deke defends. He goes, no, like these women deserve, the ones who are still here, they deserve to be in the program. I put them through a lot, and they're astronauts. But
I love
John
that
Glenn,
about Deke. He's very rigid with the training. I say who goes up and who gets to be an astronaut. And if you pass muster and you're good enough, you're an astronaut. That's it. That's all.
Exactly. Yeah. Deke is, even though Deke didn't love this idea of all, when this was first launched, he's come to accept that these are part of the crew, part of his astronaut program. And so he's not too eager for that, but we see that the political pressures from them are starting to push that way. Then we have this briefing here later on where we see that the Russians, this is a briefing in the boardroom of NASA, where they're discussing some photos they've taken of the moon, and they see that the Russians have crash landed and killed at least one of their cosmonauts on the moon. Although they're not talking about it on the news because as Russia, Soviet Union does not like to publicize its mistakes. But the other thing we kind of learned in this briefing is that the Russians are ahead of the Americans in terms of building this moon base, that they're up there. They were trying to land some kind of pressurized habitat, some kind of the beginnings of a base. And that's part of what happened here. So on one hand, the astronauts are, like Ed and Deke and the rest of them are who are being briefed here. They're worried about, they're going to lose this race for the base, as it's been called. Margot starts chiming in here and giving some intel. And I can't remember who it was specifically that
Elvis Costello.
Oh yeah, Thomas Paine. Yeah, he's like, "Who are you?" Oh yeah, you're Werner's girl.
You're Werner's girl. So dismissive.
Yeah, but this guy,
Krantz.
Yes, he was like, "No, she's one of my crew." Even though I was sexist to her in the interview, you don't talk to her like that.
Isn't he Nixon's boy?
Thomas Paine?
Yeah. Couldn't you
yes.
say the same thing, that you're just Nixon's little bitch that's here? And
I like to pretend she said it as they were walking out of the room. She under her breath, she was like, "You're just Nixon's little bitch."
And he's gonna, either Watergate's gonna happen or he's gonna get thrown out in a couple of years, and then Kennedy's gonna win apparently in this universe. So
we heard that the election's coming up and it's gonna be Ted Kennedy against Nixon, but that Ted Kennedy might be bad for NASA. He might actually remove funding from NASA if elected, and Nixon might be the better president to have in that respect. Jeff, you have any thoughts on that? If there had actually been a Nixon versus Ted Kennedy election in these kind of circumstances?
I don't think Ted Kennedy would have tried to fulfill the legacy of his brother. I would have imagined, if that had actually occurred. And actually, if that occurred, maybe this whole Apollo thing would not have died under Nixon. Once Ford and then Carter, the Apollo program just died and it was over. So all the Apollo stuff only happens under Nixon. And so,
So
in real life,
do you
right?
trace that to Gerald Ford or to Jimmy Carter, or which administration is?
I mean, it seems to be traced to Watergate, and then after that, like it was Ford comes in, and then it's I don't know how you determine that, but it seems like it only happened under Nixon, and then it's done. Why? Like, it's a good question.
Perhaps the new administration was trying to distance themselves from Nixon's pet projects at all costs because he was so disgraced,
Right. Yeah, and that's possible.
Maybe I feel like it could be Jimmy Carter, because I don't think I wasn't alive at the time, but I feel like his administration maybe didn't have as much priority on the space program, potentially because they had other issues at the time, like the energy crisis and.
Well, Vietnam dragged on for a long time too, right? Like, and it was, it wasn't until that war ended where people kind of went, okay, like what's the next thing? And then it became Berlin Wall, and it became, Berlin became a big thing, and then, so I don't know. It just seemed like, like the whole moon race and everything kind of it fizzled out after a while. People didn't care, and so there was no money to be made off the publicity, and then
Right.
Well, in this universe, we see in this episode on the news that there's a ceasefire for Vietnam dated, I don't remember what month, but
roughly 1970. Yeah.
And I Googled it, and the Vietnam War didn't actually end until 75. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah, much later.
And how different that timeline would be just because that war ending 5 years earlier, Jeff. And
well, no, he calls a ceasefire, so that doesn't mean it was over. That's in the
but but that didn't happen in our history.
No, they bombed more.
They bombed more, and
and they went to Cambodia like a year later.
Kissinger and all that stuff. So maybe all the death didn't happen in this timeline, right?
Maybe it wasn't as bad. It would still have been going since 64, so that's still 6 years of war.
Wow.
But better than 10.
Better than 11. Yeah.
Or 10 or 11. Yeah, so Thomas Paine comes over to Deke's office as he's seeing the news here from Nixon talking about that ceasefire in Vietnam. And Thomas Paine saying, like, guess what? Nixon doesn't care about the women in the program anymore. It's all over. I know we kind of forced it down your throat. Doesn't matter. And Deke's again still defending this. He doesn't want to pull these women out of the program. And
Deke is like, but their hair is so long and fluffy. We're giving you what you want.
Yeah, you wanted a blonde. We gave you two. Come on.
Can I ask, why is it not Tracy going up? Isn't that what Nixon wanted? Is the whole point of this whole mission to get the women up there, to get the pretty girl up? Yeah, but Deke, this is like, why doesn't Nixon go, no, I get to decide. Like, I'm Nixon. I don't know. That's the part I didn't understand. I'm like, isn't he the president? Isn't he the whole reason the women are even getting trained in the first place?
Deke would resign.
Run NASA.
It wouldn't be good politically, I think, is what we're kind of implied here. That yes, Nixon could force the hand. He could fire Deke, but it wouldn't be the right move.
Right. Okay.
So,
that was the only part that confused me, because I was like, well, didn't they set up last episode that Tracy's going to be the girl? Like,
the first woman to go up, and all this, and that's
they set up that she can't be cut from the program, and when we see who's doing well and who's not, she's always dead last on the list. So even if you want to send the pretty girl up there, if she's the last out of all the candidates in terms of skill, you just can't justify it.
That's fair. I agree with that. It's just like last episode, it seemed like she was going to be the person, and now this episode, it's like, no, Deke actually has all the power, and I was just like, well, it seemed like Nixon had all the power, and then and then in this episode, he kind of like don't they just try to like eliminate the women in general?
Yeah. So this at the end of the scene, Tom was like, well, it's over, man. We're pulling the women out of the program, mostly because of what happened with Patty. Seems to be the main catalyst for this. And so Thomas leaves the office with Deke, and Deke's left kind of wondering what he's going to do.
That's a cool framing shot there.
Yeah, he looks
Deke.
at the of him. Oh yeah, him with the door open there,
Mhm.
and then he looks at this program of him in the Mercury program there with John Glenn and the rest, and knowing that all of those original women pilots and astronauts got bounced from that program, and I think Deke's saying, no, I'm not going to let history repeat itself here. I'm going to do something about it. So a press conference is called on October 27th, 1970. Thomas Paine and his shorty and all his guys, they don't know what this is about. What's happening? And Deke has decided I'm announcing, yeah, these are the 4 women astronauts, and they are officially astronauts. And now that it's been public and it's been done out in the open, politically, he's kind of forcing Nixon and Thomas Paine's hand.
Love this power move. Well done, Deke.
Big power move. Thomas Paine not happy.
So mad.
So mad as he's watching it, and we get to see the astronaut pin, which was also sitting on John Glenn's collar as he was coming in, and Deke puts one on Tracy, and then on to Molly, and then to Ellen, and finally with Danielle. And big historic moment here, as it would have been, as Danielle becomes not only, well, she's the only Black person astronaut in the whole program, right, let alone Black woman. So this kind of a huge announcement, and it's 1970. Important to remember the context here. It's progress moving a little faster than it did in our timeline.
Do you think there would have been a lot, maybe we'll get to this later in the series, but I feel like at the time there would have been protests over that,
Maybe,
and people not protests,
but more pushback potentially,
riots and people, it's not a good time for that stuff. So I'm just surprised they haven't kind of written that into the show, because it's today it'd be celebrated like crazy, but back then I think it would have been definitely not.
Yeah,
especially in the South.
There are times when we're in this back the 60s or 70s, and I kind of go, I don't know if that's how Deke would have been necessarily, or that's how this character really. But this is how the show is saying that they were. So maybe it's a little idealistic in some ways, but maybe that's okay. Maybe it's just the way it should have been or could have been instead.
It's an alternate history at the end of the day. And so a lot of some things remain the same, but they are kind of changing things, and maybe that's good, maybe for the better, because the more Americans became galvanized against the common enemy of a Russia, the more they came together. And so I think that is a thing that is definitely the show can definitely explore,
right? Yeah, that's the kind of the space race, the Cold War, very much in motion here. They put a woman cosmonaut on the moon, and so how the American psyche would have reacted to that is something we don't really know, because it didn't happen. But it's plausible that they would have reacted in this way, I think. So this history is made, and then we see later on, after the press conference over, Aleda's father, who we didn't see in the previous episode, but he's back. He takes I guess Deke's speech out of the trash can here from the event, and he brings it home here to Aleda, who's watching the whole ceremony on the TV.
Just enjoying some secondhand smoke and a news conference.
Yeah, as her aunt there has got that smoke just pointed at her face.
It was the 70s. We didn't know better.
Right.
Can I say that this character is frustrating? This is my first time watching the show. This character is frustrating me because why is she important? Can the show please explain to me why she's important?
In the next season.
Not yet.
Not for season 1. She's
so I have to wait a whole season before they even explain why she's an important character in the show.
That is correct. Yes, Jeff.
Correct.
Okay. I was like, how many scenes do I need to have with her dad? It just seems like a lot.
Her character becomes a very focal main character, but not yet.
Right.
She's still, so I don't know. We get Deke's. Yeah, this is Deke's little speech from when he announced the new women astronauts. And so Aleda puts it on her wall. As basically Aleda is an illegal migrant, right, living in the United States, but dreams of one day working at NASA. And I think that's part of what the story they're telling here. That even somebody who's illegal and should be deported could actually have a positive contribution to the country and to the society.
Definitely a lot more appropriate for today than when the show came out, but
yeah, although it wasn't
it wasn't much different.
Probably not. Yeah, that's fair.
Maybe even more now, though. You're right.
Maybe more
relevant.
More relevant now. Yeah.
Then we get this news conference here, talk about the Vietnam War winding down, and we see that Danielle's husband is in Vietnam, and he's getting this phone call with her, and she's happy that he's going to be coming home, but the conversation kind of goes short here. She loses the connection, and there's kind of like this ominous sort of open-ended question left at the end of the scene.
Before she loses the connection, before she can tell him that she has been inducted as an astronaut.
Yes, that's right. He doesn't know any of that.
He doesn't know.
Yeah. So there's we'll get more on that in the next episode, I believe, with her husband. Yeah. So finding that, and then we check in with the Baldwin family. Ed is trying to teach his son how to ride a bike.
Is he trying though? This scene is so sad.
This scene pissed me off. I was
mad.
Me too.
Yeah. Well, Ed's like, you got to listen to my instructions, Sonny.
I think he was doing his Gordo impersonation personally.
I think Ed's also kind of dealing with the trauma that he was trying to teach Patty how to fly that thing, and she died, and now he's trying to teach his son how to ride a bike, and I don't know, maybe there's
right, but those things aren't related.
And as we know, he definitely has trouble dealing with his emotions. So instead of being kind and gentle with his little son, he just yells at him and makes him feel like shit. And the kid is clearly afraid of him. It's so sad.
But you know what? If you decided,
finger right in his face.
You know what? If you decided to be in the Suicide Squad, you'd be pissed off too.
Yeah. If my name was Rick Flag.
Yeah. If you're Rick Flag in Suicide Squad, you'd be pissed off too.
To me, he's this Joel Kinnaman is Ed Baldwin forever now. After 4 now almost 5 seasons of this show.
What? I don't know what you guys are talking about.
See, he was Colonel Flag in the Suicide Squad.
Have you seen the Suicide Squad movies? Or?
No.
The first show I watched Joel Kinnaman in was a show called The Killing, which is a really good show. I don't know if you guys ever saw that.
Actually, it's a good show.
Yeah, and he's really great in that. And he's like an undercover cop, but like he gets information for like the main cop, but like he's really good in that. So that's how I know him. That's like the first role I seen him in. And in this role, like there's moments in this show where I watch him and I go, oh, he's like, I get his character, but like I find him not believable sometimes. Like I see him reciting the lines like almost as an actor.
It almost feels like he's like phoning it in.
Yeah. And like there's like moments where I'm like I don't feel like he's got the character down. Like at least maybe it's the first season and it's gonna change. But like I'm watching him and I'm just like, and maybe it's because I've seen him in other things and like, but it's just like I don't feel like he has the character completely down.
Well, Heather, it's one, you've gone ahead in the show as I have, and we don't want to spoil anything for anybody else, but would you say that his how Joel Kinnaman's playing Ed in this season is any different than how he goes on to, or?
Well, it's hard to say because I don't know him from anything else. So to me, he's Ed Baldwin. I buy him as Ed Baldwin. I buy this 100%, right? And I like his performance throughout the series for reasons that we will get into later, because I don't want to say anything spoilery. But I can see it's definitely I've experienced when I know somebody from something else and I'm watching them in something and like it's a bit weird. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The only thing I knew Joel Kinnaman from I knew him from Suicide Squad, and I guess before that the RoboCop reboot where he was the title character in that, right? Which
he was the RoboCop.
He was the RoboCop, yeah.
Was he?
Yeah.
The reboot.
The reboot one they did.
Was he
I've not seen any of them. So, but like, doesn't RoboCop have a robot face?
Yeah, it's like he wears like a mask, but and that
who else wears a mask? Ed Baldwin.
Right. True.
He was perfect for the role. He had all the experience.
As we see, what's Ed's son's name?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Anyway,
Shane.
so
Don't ask Ed.
Shane. Don't ask Ed. He doesn't.
Don't ask Ed. He doesn't know.
He knows
I believe his name is Boy.
Yeah, Boy.
Shane goes off to keep trying on his bike as Ed looks back at him here, while Ed and Deke sit down for a scotch or whatever, and Karen in the background here, where
Wouldn't
basically
it be great if that kid fell over onto the stingray though. That
he just falls over again as Ed's walking away. But Deke's here to tell him that he's making a crew change on Apollo 15 on Ed's mission, and he's pulling off Gordo, which Jody, I'm sure, had no problems with. And
not at all.
And coming on will be Molly Cobb, and Karen is not impressed with this news.
Now, I don't want to be a prick here, but I'm gonna anyway. But what fucking business is it or hers right now? Like, shut the fuck up. Like, what are you doing? Like,
give her like the stop. Like
just shut up. Like, yeah, if you have a problem with it, I get it. And yeah, you discuss that with your husband after the fact, but like she's like chiming in, like she fucking has a say here. It's like, what?
It is a little out of line to talk to your spouse's boss and try to tell them what to do.
Yeah,
but also
they very much make these women a part of the whole program. They are as much a part of this as any of them.
Yeah, there's like the politics of it, really.
Deke doesn't seem bothered by her interjection. He includes her in the conversation, and then Ed's like,
"Well, he
just serve the drinks and get the fuck out of here, Karen."
Well, which is what you expect for the time period.
Because Ed starts pushing back, and then Deke's like, "I'll pull you off the mission, Ed, if you want. Like,
if you don't want to go, that's fine.
That's fine with me. I'll find some other astronaut to go." And Ed's like, "Shut up. Okay, fine." He's
like, "Fine, I'll do it." And then she gets all fucking pissy and runs off. It's like, what does it matter to you? Like,
I don't know. Maybe she learned about throwing things and slamming doors from old phone breaking Ed Baldwin there.
Perhaps
it's a spousal tradition.
Yeah, I guess.
And Ed feels like Gordo. He has this familiarity with Gordo. He's been up there on Apollo 10 with him already, and they're best friends and all of this too. So it's kind of like, I don't know. It's a little messy.
Well, and Karen already hates the idea of she doesn't think these women deserve to be there, right?
Right.
And so now his life is going to be in Molly's hands. Like, this is going to piss off Karen. Like,
well, he's still the commander.
Her reaction is not out of line.
Not completely, no. It seems a little counterintuitive considering she's also a woman, but she's also a wife, and and there's also these other things. But
I mean, if Molly wasn't a woman and they were replacing her husband's longtime partner at work with somebody who just went through the training and doesn't have any experience at all, she would be worried. So I can see that too.
Yeah. So after now, Ed's found out that Molly's joining his crew, so they have this sit down dinner along with this other guy whose name I also forget, Jeff. But this is the Apollo 15.
He's Tank to me. I'm calling him Tank.
Yeah, the Apollo 15.
All I can tell you is the guy puts A1 steak sauce on a fucking steak. That is just gross.
Yeah, that's what Jane does that too. You better watch
A1 steak sauce.
I don't care. That's
She learned that from her dad. I also don't like A1 sauce, but hey, it's.
But then he hands her the other one.
The other one,
which is ketchup, right? Is it ketchup?
Or it's like a hot sauce or something.
It's 57. It's Heinz 57 sauce.
Yeah. Okay. So this whole conversation is kind of cringe for sure. Not kind of, really is. Because the other crew member here, he's also never been to space like Molly, but he's talking like he knows more than her, or he's more qualified than her, and he's not.
He's a man.
Okay. Well, from that standpoint, then yes, he's more qualified as a man.
And they're basically like, "Don't worry, little lady. There's nothing to be afraid of. We'll be there.
There's nothing to be bad about it.
You just pass me that steak sauce, honeybee. Let's go."
But then she says, "But I've been kind of this program longer than you, and maybe I should have seniority." And she kind of, she's kind of like throwing it right back in their face, and
I love that. Love that.
And then she goes, "Oh, this food is good." The conversation transitions away. Meanwhile, back at the Stevens home, Gordo, who has of course been pulled off Apollo 15 now, is come home, and he is drunk. They're getting ready for Tracy's celebration. What does that say? To the mom?
To the moon.
To the moon, Tracy. So there's all like these flowers here for Tracy to congratulate her on becoming an astronaut. But Gordo, he's dealing with his own demons here, Jody. He's drinking. He's pouring back the booze.
It's probably all his STDs.
He's got perhaps chlamydia. Who knows? And,
Tracy
Them
looks
crabs are upsetting
stunning
him.
here.
yeah, Tracy's
She's
not
a
a bad-
beauty, but
not a
this
bad
like
looking woman.
costume and hair, and she looks so lovely.
yeah.
Very
You have
pretty.
that at home. Why are you cheating on it? That's
Right.
my question.
On
question.
it, that Jody.
I purposely said both those things just to tweak you.
I knew
Just
you
so you know.
did.
Is her
So-
dress gold or is it black and blue? That's
It's white and gold, and it
White.
always was.
It was always black and blue. Just so we know. But so first Tracy's mad at Gordo because she thinks he got drunk to kind of punish her for her success, but he's more that he's depressed about him being pulled off of Apollo 15. And I don't know. This is kind of like they're in different places. And
Karma's a bitch.
yeah.
She's actually pretty nice to him. I was pretty surprised.
She's way nicer than he deserves.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that. She tries to be compassionate to him, which, I think he needs a little bit of that too here, but
Well, I mean, it's her dream too.
Right.
So
Mhm.
if anybody can have empathy for him in this moment, it's her. His dream has been taken away from him. And even if he is a cheating, lying bastard,
it kind of goes
right.
both ways.
He's
He's trying to be happy for her too, but it's
Mhm.
overshadowed by his own feelings and concerns and everything else, so it's
I did like the turnaround at the end of this scene though, where he's like, "We're gonna go get you
the vet.
your Corvette."
yeah,
Mhm.
you're
Right.
getting a Corvette now, and
Yeah.
and it's not like he's like, screw this, and I only agreed to this because I got a spot on 15, which now he
Hold
doesn't
on.
have.
If he was Ed Baldwin, it would be like,
Oh,
Oh, there'd
telling
be phones
me-
and chairs broken all
Yeah,
over the place.
yeah, the
You're
whole
telling
house
me
would be
in
burned
this-
down.
in this reality, women are allowed to drive Corvettes?
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna drive one right over you in a minute, Jody.
You tell him. Anyway, so
I just
then-
like poking the bear.
I know. Now, I'd also noted that he is doing a turnaround where he's trying to like focus on being happy for her, and we're going to go get you a vet. And she says, well, I can't next week because I have to go help prep at the Cape. And he's like, whoa, you didn't talk to me about this first? Like, what, you just get to go off and make these like, you do it all the time, bro.
Yeah,
Very
but
double standard.
for him, it
Karma's a
doesn't count.
bitch.
In his mind. And I don't know. Yeah, right. It's a complete double standard here. He doesn't seem to see that, and he's also
Well, he does after she says.
actually she lays it out for him, but
yeah,
but
she's
it doesn't
like,
occur
"This
to
is how
him.
this is the job."
Mhm.
Yeah,
that,
because
yeah.
we have the same job. We do the same job. So if anyone could
One of us
understand.
are just a little bit more successful than the other one, but that's fine.
Then we come back to the Outpost bar while Ed and Ellen and all them, or it's not Ellen, Ed and Molly are having their dinner, and we see Ellen is here at the bar, talking with this other guy, who's
Larry.
Larry. I already forgot his name. Larry, the guy who works at NASA. They're having some drinks here together. I'm trying to remember what the substance of this conversation was. I guess about how Molly's the best. Larry also tells that Ellen that she's going to probably be the backup for
Okay.
Molly. So if Molly had to drop out, Ellen would slot into Apollo 15. So to the first woman astronaut, whoever she may be. Meanwhile, we see Ellen goes up here to the bar to get another round for her and Larry. And who is this
Pam.
bartender? Pam wearing a Canadian flag T-shirt from
Yeah,
Niagara
I didn't
Falls.
notice that the first time I watched. I only noticed it tonight. I wonder what that's about.
Yeah, is Pam meant to be from Canada, or did Pam just go to Niagara Falls?
It doesn't
Oh.
matter. Pam's hot and she's a bartender.
Well, and Pam, and this other thing too is like the Canadian flag only became a thing in 1967, I believe. So, and this is 1970, so Canadian flag is still pretty young at this point, and that Canadian shirt, pretty hot commodity, I think,
Hmm.
at the time. Anyway, we see here some eyes between Pam and Ellen. I think this had been kind of teased in the previous episode, but it's not quite confirmed until this episode.
1965.
65, so it's only 5 years old. We've had 5 years with the Canadian flag's been going around. That guy from that had the run in with Margot previously, he's here in the Outpost, and he's saying to Larry, "Oh, you and Ellen, huh? Are you gonna go to the popping the sack or whatever he says.
You
to
better
him.
lock that down. I bet that astronaut tail is out of this world.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah, like
The whole scene is cringe, but the thing is, every man has had some idiot come up to them and say something stupid like that, and you're just
True.
like, oh,
You're
stop.
like, okay, bro, nobody likes this.
Yeah, just stop. Like,
And sometimes you're the idiot that says it.
yeah, you depends how drunk you are, but yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Speaking of idiots, this guy at the bar tried to pick up Ellen and Pam.
Right.
Right.
Hey, dude, shooting for the moon. Nothing wrong
You know
with
what's
that.
real flattering? When a guy tries to pick up your girlfriend right in front of you and she shoots him down, and then he's like, what about you, little lady?
And then he finds out they're together, and he's like,
Hey.
all right, we got us a threesome.
Hey, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who said
Gretzky
that?
told us that.
Yeah, Gretzky also thinks Donald Trump should make him governor of Canada. So maybe we shouldn't take what he says with too much credence anymore. Then we go back to the Baldwin home after that scene where we see Ed is now brush his teeth and he's talking to Karen. Ed's a little loaded after this dinner with Molly, I guess.
He's loaded.
Yeah. He's trying to drink whiskey as Listerine.
No, I think
Mouthwash.
this is a
it'll
Kesha
work.
reference because he's brushing his teeth with
Right.
a bottle of Jack. You know,
Yeah.
TikTok.
you're-
Nobody. Never mind.
I think you're right. I think it is a Kesha reference. And then she's like when your wife has to physically take your glass of Jack Daniels away from you when you're brushing your teeth, there might be a problem.
Mhm.
Oh, next you're
The
gonna tell me
70s, they
it's-
didn't know yet.
Yeah.
Come
Next
on.
you're gonna
Yeah.
tell me there's a problem having shower beers. Okay, whatever.
Shower.
Shower beers are cool.
Shower bears are awesome.
And then we go over to Molly Cobb, who's in the tub smoking
smoking
some
a joint?
weed. Smoking
Yeah,
a
she's-
joint. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Ganja.
And we don't know who she's with at first, and she's like, "They probably think I'm a lesbian," she says in the dialogue. And then we meet Molly's husband here.
Mhm.
I honestly thought this was Will Forte. I thought it was MacGruber.
They look
Uh,
alike.
Does
right?
actually look a
Yeah.
lot.
I
like
looked
him,
him up. I was like, was Will
Yeah.
Forte on the show? No, it's a different guy. I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, I thought it was.
Now, let me tell you, as our resident queer, I was gagged at this scene. Of course, I thought she was a lesbian. They really queer coded her the entire time.
Yeah.
And then she's in the bathtub with this joint smoking, mustachioed 70s pinup porn onesie wearing guy. And he's just lovely. And this is
So she
such a
breaks-
sweet scene.
She breaks the flannel rule then.
She does. She's probably bi. It's fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but her husband. I don't know who plays him, and I can't really remember his name right now. But he's a great character in this show, and he's really funny, and really sweet. And it kind of interesting here with Molly, because you're right. They kind of do give us hints and code her or whatever in a certain direction. But I think there's sort of this subverting expectations a little bit, here. And
Mhm.
Ellen is kind of presented as the more like, I don't know, maybe stereotypical straight woman, and
Oh,
but
I
not-
knew it was queer, but like the straights wouldn't clock it.
right. I guess the gaydar wouldn't go off. So it's kind of it's going from the scene here with Ed and Karen back to Molly and her husband in the tub, and they're kind of talking about the issues and how she's being talked down to by the astronauts, but her husband says, you need to be on a team and we need to get some team building activities, and then they start getting into some sexy time here in the tub. It's, a good
I
thing.
like how they illustrated by cutting back and forth between Ed and Karen and Molly and Wayne, like the
Yeah.
differences in their relationship.
Yes.
Ed and Karen are like next to each other, but not really connected. And Molly
Right.
and Wayne are so connected to each other. But then you see Karen reach her hand back and Ed and Karen hold hands. Like they're both not super great at connecting their emotions.
Bum
Oh,
to bum.
Sean says, I love this part. Me too, Sean. That was nice.
Yeah. We then it's like the next morning, very early the next morning, we get a phone call here to Larry, who picks up the phone, and NASA is assuming that Ellen spent the night with Larry because they're thinking that they're a couple now. And Larry gets out his phone book and he calls up Pam's house. We don't know it's Pam's house right away, but we see here Pam answers the phone. She's seems to have no shirt or clothes on, and then we see Ellen is with her, and they are they're they're going here. And Larry picks up Ellen.
Can you go back one screenshot, please? I love this, how they framed Ellen in the curve of Pam's waist and hip.
Mm-hmm.
Really cool
sexy
shot.
Scene.
It is, yeah.
Because and this is like the confirmation. If you didn't know, Ellen was gay.
Oh, it's just gals being pals.
Gals being pals.
Exactly. I thought they all did this.
This is like a sorority thing.
We do, yes.
Anyway, so Larry picks up Ellen, and Larry kind of chastises her, and is like, I thought you were smarter than this. We got to keep up appearances. We'll come to find throughout this conversation that if you didn't know already, Larry's gay, and so is Ellen, and so, but this is 1970s America, and I guess they're not too comfortably openly out, considering she's an astronaut and he's a NASA guy, rocket scientist.
How it was talked about at this time. Like, I loved how they handled that he told her, you're getting sloppy, you have to be more careful, such and such, you can't be out. And then he said, trust me, I know. And then gave her just like a little side eye look, and she looked back at him, and that's the subtext of how you know. Right. So I thought that was really true. Did she not
know herself until he says it?
I don't think she did, because she looked surprised to me.
Right.
And then maybe like putting 2 and 2 together kind of thing.
Yeah. And we'll find that these two characters from this moment on will kind of form this alliance with each other for public appearances, that they'll sort of be a public facing couple, even though that's not really what they're doing in their personal lives. Truly. And they're also good friends, these two. They become pretty good friends. So Larry and Ellen holding hands as they come into NASA to give up this pretense that they are some kind of romantic couple.
And you see people noticing it as they're walking through. People are noticing it and like nodding approvingly. And I guess they're not queers after all.
Yeah. And I'm sure this happened in real life a lot. Maybe it still does. I don't know. But this is where definitely for this time. You see all the looks. It's really well shot in terms of how they set that up with the different extras. After that scene's over, then we catch up here with Molly, who is now redesigning the logo patch, the mission patch for Apollo 15, which originally had Stevens on it. So she crosses out this blue bird, and she's like, I want a black raven for me. Which of course, Stephen's name goes off, becomes Cobb's. And the motto of the mission was going to be, man's flight through life is sustained by the power of his knowledge. And she crossed out man's, and she crossed out his, and put our in both examples here.
Go woke, go broke. That's what I say.
Well, she's putting her input in, Jody.
And we learned Buddy's name, Sedgwick.
I'm just
Sedgwick.
Heather today. That's all.
I should have remembered that, Sedgwick. Anyway, so then we see that there's a little press conference here, photo op here with the crew of Apollo 15 now with their new mission. They're getting photos taken here.
He looks like a potato.
He does.
The guy on the right. Yeah.
He's Mr. Potato Head. I wonder why his ring is blue at the top, like around his neck, and the others two are red. But
well, it's a little known fact, but the red rings are the ones that they test, and the blue and the other ones are not. So
his suit's different too.
The suits are different. The hookups.
Yeah, look at his suit. His suit's different.
Maybe it's because
I think because he stays in the
he's in like the Michael Collins role, so he's going to stay on the module.
Yeah,
he's in the ship. Yeah,
he only gets to go moon adjacent.
Yes. This is 110 days from the launch, and so they're taking these like awkward photos. Then they pull out the Sedgwick and Baldwin, and they just have Molly by herself posing, and they try to fluff her hair or whatever. Here, can you fluff it up there, Molly?
You fluff it up. And the exasperation on her face, she plays this so perfectly. I don't want to fuck around with my hair. Just get me to the moon. Come on.
And then they said, smile, Molly. And she smiles. And then they go, maybe don't smile.
Maybe don't smile.
Let her smile is fine. Then we go over to Margot, who's doing complex mathematics in her office. We hear like this jazz music, I guess, kind of comes into the scene.
This show is crazy, man. Women can do math as well. Like,
yeah. Yeah, she's powered by Tootsie Rolls and jazz.
This
And
Yeah,
is
she
crazy.
needs to calm down though. She keeps breaking her pencil. You only
Yeah.
have to apply just enough pressure; it'll still make a mark.
Well,
Yeah.
those Tootsie Rolls give her extra oomph. She gets out her metronome
trigger.
here.
Yeah,
And
pens.
she's using her metronome while she does her mathematics, which then
Well,
eventually
she's got to keep the rhythm.
she's got to keep the rhythm, and she's kind of got the music in her mind. And then it kind of transitions right into this like jazz bar where she's playing piano.
Love this. So fun. Very unexpected. I really
Yes.
enjoyed this.
And we see Molly and her husband are in the crowd that night watching this and then go, what the heck? And they kind of notice each other.
They've been smoking jazz cigarettes.
Exactly. The other thing too, with Molly being a pothead, did they actually have to like
She
drug
smoked one joint. What makes her a pothead?
According to NASA, she would be, though. I don't think you're supposed to smoke joints.
did they drug test the astronauts?
Apparently not.
Maybe not. They certainly don't test them for
As
alcohol.
long as she's not smoking on the ship, I don't think it's an issue.
Well, again, in 1970, Jody. It's
You
True,
could
we
smoke
did-
everywhere. They probably did smoke on the ship.
maybe
They probably had
Maybe.
cigarettes there.
Yeah.
Put it out.
So-
We gotta go.
so. After the
The
performance,
moon is just full of spent butts. Like,
It's literally an ashtray.
yeah, it'd be fitting.
That's
There's
why it's gray.
the American flag, and then there's like a butt out receptacle next to it.
They probably have like an 8-meter thing where they're not allowed to like smoke near the flag or something.
You must be 8 meters away from the
Yeah.
American flag to smoke on the moon.
Exactly. Molly comes up to Margot after the show and says, "I didn't know this about you. You play piano. I love this about you." But Margot is not receptive. Margot is like, "Don't you tell anybody about this at all, or I'm going to bury you, or I'm going to
she's
like."
very
Well, this
Ron
is like
Swanson about
her-
this.
This is her like, extracurricular activity that nobody knows about,
I don't know if anyone at NASA would care that she goes out and plays piano at night, but
But it's just for her, and as she says, I do.
She's
this
not even
because
wearing
my
glasses,
time-
Dave.
Yeah,
right.
that's
She's
how
very
you know
seductive.
she's hot in her off time.
True.
We all know
Okay.
that if you wear glasses, you're not hot. Like right now, not hot. All right. But
Wait,
look,
take them off. Oh my
Oh.
God! Oh,
I've seen She's All That. Come on, it's it's how it
Recognize
works.
her.
speaking of hot, can we talk about Wayne's giant lapels and like wavy hair and
Yes.
mustache? He looks amazing.
His style is immaculate. I got
So good. So good.
Very 70s.
the porn
Anyway, so
stash is amazing.
Mhm.
yeah, Margot goes off here, and Molly and Mr. Cobb are left going. That was kind of a weird encounter with Margot. Then
Mr. Cobb's really like, do you think we can get her in a 3-way?
Molly, I don't think Molly would be into it. Anyway, so then they're more training for the mission. You got Ed and Molly going on here, and there's issues here. Molly is, I don't know, she's meant to be hammering this rock or something, and it's not quite the way Ed
This
wants
seemed
to do
weird
it.
to me. I thought she was putting it on. Like this can't be her maximum effort. There's no way.
You felt like she was phoning it in a little bit here, yeah.
Yeah.
And Ed's got some issues. Then later on in the simulator, they got the telemetry or whatever, and Molly's. I want to call her Maggie. It's Molly. Molly screws it up a couple times. There's a couple things where they have to like take off their gear too inside of the capsule.
I think they did that where they're helping each other get dressed. They did it in a bunch of really quick cuts and them like bumping into each other. And I think that's meant to illustrate how things are going in general.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
really like, yeah, Molly and Ed have to be like not just crew members together, but they have to be like, they're the two that go down to the moon together, and like they have to be like completely in sync. They have to be able to work together extremely well. And at this point, they're not completely working in sync, right? For various personality reasons on both sides. And I think this is the scene where they kind of talk about how they haven't designed the spacesuits to be functional for women to go to the bathroom in, and they're talking about how Molly might have to wear a diaper for the
Can you just
entire.
wear a diaper? And she's like, what?
What? And Ed's like, no, one of my crew's going up in a damn diaper. That's not how Ed Baldwin runs. So they're gonna have to figure it out. They never quite tell us what the solution was, but they must have.
Catheter?
I imagine some kind of catheter.
I'm
yeah.
guessing it's some sort of funnel. That would be my guess.
Could be. Yeah.
What do they call those things where it lets the ladies use the urinals?
Shiwi.
Shiwis, that's it. Yeah.
Oh, I thought they were penises.
Yes.
Oh, penises. Yeah.
There's also those.
But those were only just invented in the last, I don't know, like so many years, right? Like they didn't exist at this
We've had
time.
funnels the entire time.
Yeah, right. Like
NASA had
invented.
everything 30 years before.
NASA could figure it out. Well, that's kind of the thing. He's like, you're NASA. You can work out how to get a woman astronaut to go to the bathroom in space. I'm sure there's
She's
a way.
not wearing a diaper.
They're like, diaper?
That-
They're like, no, another solution. Like,
That
oh.
really made me think of, I don't know if y'all have heard about this, and I may not be saying it exactly right, but Sally Ride told a story about how when she was first going into space, they approached her and asked her how many tampons she would need for a 3-day visit to space. And they were like 100. And she was like, what? Much the same reaction that Molly Cobb had to being asked to wear a diaper. Do you think I need 100 tampons? Can we get a woman in here to ask these questions? Maybe.
We're gonna bring you 600,000 tampons. Is that enough?
Is that enough? Do you think that's okay? Will that be okay? Anyway, Margot's definitely not having Molly in a diaper.
Yeah, because
or
Molly
with
doesn't know the
100
telemetry.
tampons.
She keeps screwing up a couple things in the simulator here, and Ed's trying to be patient with her, but you know this is his life as well, and the whole mission, and I don't know. So it's there's some static here between Molly and Ed in this scene. Molly manages to screw it up again in the next simulation, and I think this is where Margot loses her shit.
If only she had a penis.
Ed does first, and then
Ed does first.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
If only she had a
Margot.
penis, guys.
Well, it is, I don't think it has anything to do with that. It's just
I know, I'm kidding.
Molly has a bit of a chip on her shoulder about things, and I think that Margot kind of gives her this speech about like you need to know things. You need to be yes, you're the best of like the women astronauts who went through this program, but you need to step up your game, and you have to be the best.
The thing
This
that
is
affected her
Space
the
Karen.
most. The thing that affected her the most was when Margot looked at her and said, "You're not good enough. You're not good enough, and you need to be."
Yeah.
Well,
And you
that's
can't be substandard because there's too many people, there's too much on the line here. You know, for you have to succeed, right?
And
whether you want to be a role model or not. And
this still right here is right. Go back to Molly. That's right after Margot said to her, "You're not good enough." And you see it in her face.
Yeah.
Like she's upset and she's taken aback.
yeah.
And
But
before that, it was all bluster, like I'm, and then she's really taken aback there.
Right. Well, we saw that. Molly knew all her telemetry in the previous episode. She was able to, and she is a very competent, skilled pilot and engineer and all these things. But there's still more to learn. There's still some humility and sort of, and working well with the crew. And so putting that aside, so Margot's little talk with her here seems to really get her to have a bit of a wake up call on terms of this mission. And
I just want to say that this one little part is the only part in the series so far that rang a bit like overblown melodramatic to me when Molly's like, I'm just a pilot. And Margot goes, "No, you're an astronaut." And I was like, okay. That was like a little much for me, but that's all.
Yeah, I get you.
It
So
probably looked better in the script, and then
Yeah, it was like movie of the week melodramatic for me a little bit, just that one little part. But then we get a montage of Molly buckling down and doing it because, God damn it, she is an astronaut.
she's just got to chain smoke and eat apples and
Yeah.
do the telemetry or whatever she's doing. And even Ed seems to come by late at night. Oh, working late, are you? I like
you
that.
those
Oh.
apples, smoking the cigarettes, huh?
Yeah, apples and cigarettes. Got it. This will
That is
go well.
dedication.
That's dedication. But and then Ed is saying goodbye here in Houston to everyone in the Space Center. He runs into Gordo. Kind of that's the final thing. And Gordo still a little upset with everything, how everything's gone here. That he's gonna get to go up on. He's not going up on this mission. I don't know what else was said.
Screw
in this
him.
scene. but kind of
cares?
wishes him off. That Gordo's hoping for a spot on another future flight. Ed goes off on his own here, and he comes home and he sees, oh, look, his son Shane. He's learning to ride his bike. He's doing it. And first,
Now, how many times did you see this and go, "Oh shit, that kid's gonna get run over"? Because literally, that's what I thought they were gonna frame. I'm
Right.
like,
yeah,
but yeah, for sure. No, it's worse. It's his wife.
It's worse. His wife's there.
His wife
probably
his wife taught his son how to ride a bike.
Moment with his son.
She's probably
Yeah.
telling the neighbor how her kid has to do it.
Right, and Ed is like, oh no,
Look at that
like,
face. That's a face of a defeated man. That is
He's
a man that is.
He's like, I can't teach anybody.
Yeah,
Damn
I
it.
couldn't do it. Only my wife could do it. It's like,
yeah, and so there's kind of that whole thing, and then Aleda gets a bus ticket here, then from her father, who's sending her to the launch in Florida, I guess, to see the launch of Apollo 15.
At least she got to ride in the bus and not in the cargo area.
But he didn't have enough money to buy for both of them to go, only for her to go by herself.
Yeah,
which is how old is she?
Yeah, she's like
12?
12-ish.
Maybe
Old
15?
enough to travel by herself in the 70s. That's fine.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Past eight, you were good.
Across a border?
Not
No,
the
it's
state
not
line.
a border.
She's-
They're in Texas.
She's in the States.
Oh, they're
She's
in
in the
Texas.
States.
Oh, I thought she was
yeah.
in Mexico.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All
No.
right.
My mom left me
no
alone in
problem.
Toronto when I was 11, twice in one day.
It's the 70s or the 80s. They didn't know.
I've been flying since I was 6 months old, because where I'm from, it was a fly in, fly out till I was 10. And I remember the first time I flew alone, I was 10 years old. I was flying to Labrador from Labrador to Newfoundland. And they hung a sign around my neck that said unattended minor. Why didn't they just put fucking kidnap me? I don't have any parents. Like,
Also, like
to me
candy,
now.
and her mom's name is this.
Oh my God.
I had that once when my dad or my mom got sick when we were in Nova Scotia and we were going back to Montreal, and me and Rich had to get those little bags put around our necks that said unattended minors.
Yeah.
So
Unreal.
I did it once.
Wow.
I flew to Halifax by myself.
yeah. Did you have the bag around your neck?
They put a sign on me or something. Yeah. It was, yeah.
That's
It's-
That's
insane.
so weird.
It is
Like,
weird.
why
Oh my
would
God.
you draw more attention to that? Unattended minor. Jeez.
All
Anyway,
the unmarked
Aleda
white
does not
vans
have-
just waiting.
Aleda doesn't have that sign on. But
she
anyway,
was an
all-
unattended minor, but they didn't advertise it.
And all the airport staff or like the flight, they all come up to you and they all like when you're a kid, you're like, "Are you okay? Are you? Does nobody love you?"
Well,
It's
she was,
like,
on,
that's kind of what it's like.
she
you
was
know?
on a Greyhound. They're not going to mark it on a Greyhound. You know what?
No, a Greyhound, you're good.
Crazies are on the Greyhound.
Yeah.
anyway, so then we go over to Apollo 15 on the day of the launch in the hotel, or the motel rather. Tracy is here. She gets a call from Gordo, her husband, who says, "Where were you last night? What's happening?" And she's like, "I don't know," and whatever.
I did like the flush thing she did. That was good.
Yeah. So eventually this conversation goes sour where he's like, I guess you don't care about being a bad
I
mother.
thought you were worried about being a bad mother. Oh, okay.
And then
then.
she's like,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, Gordo,"
This
and then
was
she goes and
great.
Yeah,
flushes
tell
the
me
toilet.
again how I'm supposed to have sympathy for this asshole. Tell me.
This
well, not-
is fantastic.
no.
I love that.
I'm on Team Tracy in this scene for sure.
I love that she went and dropped the phone, went and did the flush, came back, and he said, "What was that?" And she said, "Oh, it's nothing, hun. Gotta go.
Yeah.
Love you."
Gotta go. Love you. Have a good one. You know?
Love it.
And smiling all the way out the door. I
Mhm.
love it. It was so good.
Right. So she hangs up the phone with him, and he's left not feeling too good. And she opens up the door to the sunshine and maybe a new horizon for Tracy.
Because I'm a free bitch, baby.
Yes. We get ready for the launch here of Apollo 15, leading up to 2 hours before. I guess we missed Apollo 12 and 13 and 14 in the mix.
They
here.
were all fine.
There's a
Nothing
whole nother movie about Apollo 13. We watched that one another time.
But I guess that didn't happen, right? In this
No,
timeline.
that didn't happen in this timeline. That's
Oh,
fine.
Yeah.
shit.
So anyway, and Apollo 13 would have in our timeline, Apollo 13 is like in 1973, and like so
I think it's
even
71.
the speed of these launches are 71. Is it?
I think it was 71. Yeah, I could be wrong.
Anyways. So at the launch here in Florida, we see Karen gets to meet Molly's husband. She goes, "Is that him? Is that the guy?
Is that porn stash?
Is that like the husband who has to join our wives club now. Is that what's happening?
Is that the guy we're doing a foursome with?
And she's like, hello.
Oh, he was at the swingers party. Yeah, okay.
No way. This outfit, man, this shirt, this tie, this jacket, I don't know.
It's all amazing.
This
I feel
haircut.
like-
Karen looks beautiful, and I like the little character detail for Wayne that he compliments her on her dress, which men of that age would probably not really care about women's fashion. So she thinks that's a bit unusual. I find that little moment.
Yeah, she kind of raises an eyebrow or whatever.
He is a podhead who likes swingers parties. So you know.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we see here Molly and Ed and the rest and the other Sedgwick, I guess. They're all getting geared up for their spacesuits.
It totally suck if they mix those ones up, eh?
Yeah, don't put the wrong port in. Again, it's kind of see them get geared up, armored up here, and kind of a parallel to the earlier scene we saw where Neil Armstrong and them were getting geared up, right? I think it was in the pilot. First episode. Anyway, some glances here, but then we have this in our opening sequence for the podcast. But they come through the doors and everyone's clapping. But the difference here compared to when like Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin came down, it was all men in the hallways back then. A couple of years earlier, and now you see it like it's almost like 50-50 men women working here at NASA just 2 years later. And there's
I like
also
how Ed eventually puts her in front of him.
Yeah, because Ed's the commander of the mission, but eventually he realizes they're not clapping for him; they're clapping for Molly.
No, they're there to see Molly.
Most of them, and so Ed kind of realizes, oh, okay, maybe you should take center stage here, and kind of pushes her up towards the front here. And as she's kind of going along, and she's kind of like smiling, I think she's letting it feel good. She sees Ellen and Danielle and Tracy, and they're all cheering her on as she's going on out here, which was nice, I thought too. They head out into the bright sunshine of Florida. Got that T-shirt there, Molly Cobb, first American woman in space.
Oh, it's 1971.
It's 1971 now. Yep. And Aleda works her way through the crowd as she's here to watch the launch.
Right.
Anyway, she's here, Jeff.
Wait. Back up 2 frames. Is that Zephram Cochrane in his little hat?
No, that's the guy from Babe. That's like the farmer from Babe.
Okay. That makes more sense.
That will do, pig. Anyway, there's the launch here. They're all getting kind of strapped down into the spaceship for the launch here. And I don't know. I think does Molly make a joke and Ed laughs? Try to something happens. They have a kind of a fun moment. All laughs all around. I can't remember what the joke was now.
I think she just says, "I'm going to the moon."
No, she doesn't say that as
it's
she
after,
says that at the end. The joke is she says, "I haven't." They're cheering, but we haven't done anything yet. And he says, "You're strapped to all this explosive. It's not smart, but it's something."
Right.
Right, just about you're crazy enough to let all this propellant go underneath you, and
we could blow up at any moment.
You could blow up. Remember, there was that. What was the one in the 80s? Challenger. Right. That's always a risk, right? Anyway, so they're getting ready to go up, and then Karen's holding the other wife's hand of Sedgwick, and then Molly's husband grabs her hand here.
Why does he look like Ringo Starr in like Let It Be? That's exactly what he looks like. I mean, is that they modeled this character off of?
That's what men looked like in the 70s.
It's true.
It was fashion.
It's kind of got like a David Crosby vibe a little bit.
They're like, give me David Crosby mixed with Ringo Starr and make that a character.
Yeah. And there they go. The Apollo 15 is launched up. They're heading up into space, and Karen watches her husband go up. It's not the first time she's seen this, but it's happening again. Aleda gets to see this launch in person. Seems to be a pretty powerful moment for her. As they're on their way, mission control's happy. And then I think Deke's being Deke. He gets called away to a phone call here. And who's on the phone, Jeff? Nixon.
Listen, I would have told you about this before, but it's your ass.
If your girl screws up, meaning Molly, it's your ass. I'm firing you from NASA.
Yeah.
Listen,
I was
out of the two Maters, Jeff's Nixon impression is much better.
Okay.
a lot of, too much
got the
time
Nixon
while I
down.
listen to that guy's voice.
Yeah. So there's a lot on the line here. They need to come back, and we're gonna catch up with that in the previous episode. But then Molly's looking out the window and she sees that blue sky eventually turn to black stars, and as they head into outer space, and she's like, "Wow, and I'm going to the moon."
I'm going to the moon.
And
Just
that is
like
our final
Katy Perry.
shot of the
Ugh.
episode. As this episode is dedicated to the memory of Geraldine M. Cobb, who died in 2019. I guess maybe before this
Molly
episode
Cobb.
aired.
Molly Cobb's based off this character.
Yeah,
That's
Molly
correct,
Cobb is
yes.
partly based off this character as well. And that is the end of the episode. Sorry, it took me a while to get to the end of it, guys, but there was a lot happened in this one. And there was a lot to talk about. So we don't have Adam here to give us our trivia. Does anyone want to step up? If not, I can do it. Okay, I will do it.
Quadruple D.
Not unless I have to.
Okay, this episode was in memory of Geraldine M. Cobb, who was the astronaut Molly Cobb was
We just
based
covered
on.
that.
You
Where's
know
Adam?
what?
Where's Adam?
I don't know. He got busy tonight. It's, Prime Crew. IMDb.
Adam
I
wouldn't
don't
have
know.
doubled up the facts.
He wouldn't have doubled up. He
Jody
does
doesn't want to give the facts, but he wants to criticize whoever is.
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
it.
He's like,
I don't know if you've noticed, Heather. That's kind of my gig.
I have noticed that. Yes.
Yeah.
all right, I got more here, guys.
I'm
Gordo
here to
says,
cause trouble.
yes, you are. Gordo says he will take Tracy to see Jim Rathman after she graduates as an astronaut. Rathman was a former race car driver who owned a Corvette dealership. He was friends with some of the Mercury 7 and offered special rates for astronauts. Most astronauts in the Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo programs drove Corvettes supplied by Rathman. Gordo uses the term Bohica, which is a Vietnam War era acronym that stands for Bend Over, Here It Comes.
Here it comes again.
Here it comes
I
again.
looked it up. They mentioned it several times in this episode. So the first time I watched it, I looked it up because I love acronyms and I wanted to know what that one was for.
Bohica. Yeah. Bend over. Here it comes again. It means that you're about to get screwed again. The best course of action is sometimes to acquiesce. All right.
That's true.
When the new crew of 15 is having dinner for the steak, Molly passes Heinz 57 when A1 is asked for. So I don't know, guys.
Is that a fun fact?
No, that's pretty lame.
No, it's not fun. It's not
Somebody's
fun.
going after Jody's job.
Is that fun enough? I don't know.
It's a fact, but
Yeah,
it's fun.
that's fun.
Very little fun involved.
Adam would have done this with much more grace, but things happen, guys, and sometimes you just have to deal with what it is.
We just wouldn't have busted Adam's balls.
Mhm.
That's the difference.
I still do. So.
All right. Well, let's rate this episode, everyone. Now that we've broken it all down.
That's all the fun facts?
That's all I got.
What you got?
That's all
Adam
I
would
got.
have Adam would have had more. I'm just saying.
He would have had more, but he's not here, so it's
More
going to
grace,
happen.
more facts.
You got to deal with what I bring you here. I don't know. Anyway, Prime Crew, guys, we're gonna rate this episode. Jeff, what do you want to give this one?
Oh, give it like a solid 8.3.
8.3 from Jeff. Okay. Heather.
I'm going to give it an 8 because, as I mentioned at the top of the show, I find it was a little more like setting things up to progress the story. We did get some cool backstory though, and there's a lot of things to like about it. I just didn't like it as much as the first 3 episodes, but only for that reason.
Yeah. Okay. I'm with you. Kevin.
9, same. I'll let you know when there's a stinker.
You always do. I think this was okay for me, but not as maybe strong for me as Nixon's Women. So I'll go 8 myself. Adam's not here, so Jody, you're last.
I'm gonna go 8.
8 from Jody. Okay, so we're averaging an 8.3.
Exactly what I put.
exactly what Jeff's rating. So he kind of knew what we were all going to do, or did he influence us? I don't know. Chicken and the egg, everybody. So and this has a 7.8 rating. So it's a little lower than Nixon's Women, but it's higher than the pilot and episode 2. So anyway, that is our breakdown for this one, as we've ended our 2 episodes directed by Alan Coulter. So now we're heading into the next 2 episodes, and the first of those 2 episodes is called where is it?
Into the Abyss.
Into the Abyss. Episode 5 will be our next episode.
Oh, this is a good one. Now, just one more thing. Can you show me the spreadsheet again?
Yep.
Why is the row width for Into the Abyss, the row height, different than the rest of them? That's unacceptable, Dave.
Yeah, that's not sticking to the format.
Thank
There you
you.
go.
No, that's too big now.
No, now you're too big.
Hold on. If you
What
want
have you done? What have you done?
well, we need
31.
we need a 30. You know about your spreadsheets.
Yeah, me do. I may not have any fun facts, but I know a lot about spreadsheets.
Well, so do I.
I know. I can
we can
tell.
talk. Maybe we should have a podcast just about spreadsheets.
Oh my God, fun. I'm in.
Exactly.
I'm
For no one
not.
else.
I can tell you that.
Who's gonna listen?
else is
Everybody?
hanging up.
Yeah. Yeah. Any more comments or thoughts out there for in the live stream?
Yeah, I'm never watching a spreadsheet podcast. I'm just letting you know now.
It will be audio only.
Oh, even better.
Oh my God.
We now click into B3. Type in equals sum
It'd be like
bracket.
listening to a chess game. Like
It's good. It's gonna be like Star Trek Radio Theater, and Ashley's gonna narrate all the
And then
motions.
Dave clicks in C.
We focus on cell B5 and equals ors and if statements.
I can't believe Jody said B3 and Dave said B5, and we're all Star Trek dorks and nobody chose B4. This podcast is off the rails already.
I'm a
don't
Babylon
like
5
B4.
fan too, so
Oh.
B5 was fitting.
oh Jesus.
We better sign
You know
off
what,
before
Dave?
Jeff gets mad.
You don't go from I'm gonna make a podcast about doing spreadsheets to I like Babylon 5. Like, are you really going for loser of the year here?
I thought
or
I was
are
going
It's
for
basically
coolest
just
guy.
saying the same thing twice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I thought it was this guy knows his
the
stuff.
fact that this man is married is impressive.
That he has friends at all. But here we are. Anyway, we'll be on Thursday for Star Trek: The Next Generation podcast. Heather
I
is
won't.
joining us. Not you, but
Oh, okay.
I'll be there, and Jane will be there, and Jameel's beau Becky is coming in to talk about the Icarus Factor.
So
I
fun.
I just watched this episode and yeah.
Do you know about Ambujitsu?
I
Ashley's
do
on
know
that
about
one as well.
Oh no, sorry, it's Ashley, not Jane. Actually, I think it's Ashley, Heather, and Becky.
Mhm.
My apologies.
I'm
I
on
knew-
one eventually. That's
I knew it
coming
was
out.
all. I knew it was all women and me.
Oh.
So
Nixon's women.
yeah. So and
Oh, but maybe we're Riker's women, like Kyle Riker.
could be. Now,
What's up,
Becky has only seen Nemesis and 2 of the Chris Pine movies. I'm not sure which 2. And that's all she knows
Whoa.
about Star Trek. So she's coming into this Icarus Factor knowing nothing else.
So she's right there with Davin then.
Right.
So-
They have the same general appreciation.
It's a 10.
she might give it a 10. She's been on our Survivor podcast, most of this season 48. So I'm looking forward to
I'm
having
sure
Becky
she'll
on the
do
panel.
just fine.
She'll do just fine. Yeah, she knows her. She's a good podcaster. If she doesn't know anything, it'd be interesting to get someone getting a fresh take on a Next Generation episode.
Mhm.
So look out for that. And
I predict the
think
word campy will be used.
that's- Oh, and in a
It's
week's time.
very campy episode.
Okay.
Even the transitions are brutal. They're like soap opera transitions where they do like the little do 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 before it fades out. Then it fades back in.
Well, to make sure to check all those things out, you can check out the trivial debates we just did yesterday. Was WrestleMania themed? If
Wrestling,
you're
yeah.
wrestling themed, we also just talked about Captain America: Brave New World and Daredevil: Born Again. in the Mary Mater Marvel Society over on the Super Mater Brothers channel as well. So if you want to hear those reviews,
How many maters were there?
Just me.
I wasn't asked.
Really? and your last name's on the show?
I know.
And you weren't even asked.
I know. I wasn't very merry.
It was
or matery for that matter.
Oh, right.
I was there. I was the token mater. That's what
Super Mater brother.
Well, this is the Mary Mater Marvel Society.
It's a society.
It's a society. We allow other non-maters in.
No maters.
Yeah.
No maters. It's
There
like
can only be
it's
one.
like the Stonecutters, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we're done for tonight. Go check out the election. We'll see who won the majority if we don't know yet.
Liberals winning right now.
Liberals are ahead. That was kind of expected.
They didn't do as well as they should have in Illinois.
No, it's
gonna be
closer.
not looking fantastic right now. It's closer than I would like.
Okay. Interesting. All right.
20-7 right now.
Yes. Well, what the hell, Atlantic Canada?
They
But
flipped to Newfoundland seats. Not good.
What's going on in New Brunswick? Who'd you elect?
Me?
What's your riding?
I voted for Nixon.
He's gonna bring the space program
He's
back.
putting women in space.
Return
Hey,
normalcy.
This place is in space. If anybody can give me that, that's what I'm voting for.
And on
She
that
wants
note,
to be able to pee in space, and she wants to go to space. That's it.
Yeah.
That's why she's voting Nixon.
Figure it out, NASA.
figure it out. All right. Well, thanks everyone. We'll be back next week for Into the Abyss. Thanks to the whole panel. We'll miss you. We miss you, Adam, and we're looking forward to having you back next week.
I definitely missed Adam for fun facts.
I know. What do you want?
The facts just aren't fun without you,
They're
Adam.
not
Yeah.
fun at all.
We all missed Adam.
There was like
We
3
all
facts.
did.
and they-
I tried
they
to get
all
someone else to grab the mantle, and it didn't work. So anyway,
You're doing great, Dave. We love you too.
all right. Well, thank you. Thank you.
A role model, Dave. You got to pick it up.
All right. Well, good night, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Live long and podcast. Good night.